She was young, full of life, and loved by everyone who met her. He was quiet, troubled, and hiding a darkness no one imagined. On the outside, they seemed like a normal couple, laughing on social media, sharing dinners, planning for the future. But behind the closed door of their small flat in East Kilbride, Scotland, their relationship was slowly rotting from within. And then, on one November night in 2024, everything shattered. What followed was so brutal, so chilling, and so beyond comprehension that it left even seasoned detectives horrified. This is the tragic story of Phoenix Spencer Horn, a young woman who deserved the world, but instead, her life was stolen by the very person she trusted most. Phoenix Spencer Horn was just 21 years old. She grew up in Strathaven, a small Scottish town, as the youngest of 4 children. Her parents, Alison and Graham, raised their kids with warmth, strong values, and unconditional love. Phoenix stood out even from childhood, not just for her beauty, but for her spirit. She was kind, compassionate, and the type of person who noticed when someone was struggling, always stepping in to help. At school, her teachers remembered her as empathetic and hardworking, while friends described her as funny and loyal. After finishing school, Phoenix started working, juggling shifts at the Strathaven Hotel and a local cafe. Customers adored her, and colleagues respected her. Outside of work, she filled her life with music, countryside walks, and lighthearted videos on TikTok, sharing happy snapshots of life, like ice cream with friends and silly moments with her siblings. To anyone who knew her, Phoenix was radiant, a young woman just beginning to carve out her future. But in late 2022, Phoenix met a man who would change everything, Ewan Mathen. At first, Ewan seemed gentle and reserved. He worked as a postman for Royal Mail, a quiet, dependable job. He was 5 years older than Phoenix, a little awkward in public but attentive behind closed doors. To her friends and family, he came across as polite and even doting. And Phoenix, with her loyal heart, believed she had found someone she could build a life with. Their relationship moved quickly. Within months, Phoenix and Ewan were living together in a small flat in East Kilbride, just 10 miles south of Glasgow. On the outside, they looked like any other young couple, celebrating birthdays, posting smiling selfies, visiting family. But inside their home, cracks were already forming. At first, it was small things, mood swings, sulking when things didn't go his way, offhand criticisms. Then came jealousy. Not just about Phoenix's friends, but about how she dressed, where she worked, and even who she texted. Phoenix, being kind and patient, tried to reassure him. She believed his excuses when he blamed his temper on alcohol, steroids, or drugs. She believed she could help him change. But over time, Ewan grew more controlling, unstable, and dangerous. By mid-2024, Phoenix confided in friends that things weren't working. She wanted space. She wanted out. But Ewan wouldn't let go. His jealousy deepened into obsession, and his insecurity into something darker. Phoenix's compassion, the very thing that made her special, was tragically what kept her tethered to him. Then, on the night of November 16, 2024, Phoenix came home after a shift at work. She messaged her mom casually at 9:37 p.m., saying she and Ewan were having dinner together. Nothing seemed unusual. No signs of fear. No hint of what was coming. But just hours later, everything changed forever. That night, November 16, 2024, would become one of the darkest chapters in East Kilbride's history. Inside their flat, the atmosphere turned tense. According to investigators, an argument spiraled out of control. What started as raised voices soon turned violent. Neighbors later reported hearing muffled shouting, then sudden silence. And then, nothing. Hours passed. But by morning, Phoenix's family knew something wasn't right. She hadn't shown up for work, hadn't replied to messages, hadn't posted anything on social media. This was completely unlike her. Phoenix was the type of person who always checked in, always reassured her mom when she got home late. Worried, her mother Allison drove to the flat. But what she found would haunt her forever. The police were called, and when officers forced their way inside, they discovered a scene so horrific it shook even veteran detectives. Phoenix, only 21 years old, lay lifeless in her own home. She had been stabbed multiple times, a brutal act of rage carried out by the one person she trusted most, her boyfriend, Ewan Mathen. Phoenix's death was not quick, nor was it merciful. It was the result of sustained, frenzied violence. Later, in court, prosecutors would describe the murder as savage, cruel, and utterly senseless. The details were so graphic that they were withheld from the public in full. What mattered was clear. Phoenix's life had been stolen in a storm of violence no one could have predicted that night. For her family, the grief was unbearable. Her mother's trembling voice broke as she told reporters, "Phoenix was my baby. She had her whole future ahead of her, and he took it away. Our lives will never be the same." Her father, Graham, described Phoenix as the light of our family, the one who always brought laughter into the room. Her siblings could barely speak, their grief pouring out in small, broken sentences about how much they missed her laugh, her hugs, her presence. In the days that followed, East Kilbride was gripped by mourning. Friends left flowers, handwritten notes, and candles outside Phoenix's workplace. Strangers who had never met her gathered for vigils. On TikTok, her videos, once full of joy and silliness, were flooded with comments of sorrow and disbelief. Meanwhile, police quickly arrested Ewan Mathen, who had been found inside the flat after the killing. Cold and emotionless, he admitted to the stabbing but offered no explanation that made sense. In reality, there was no explanation that could ever make sense. Jealousy, obsession, control. These were the shadows that had grown inside him until they destroyed everything. In December 2024, Mathen appeared in court, where he pled guilty to murder. The judge condemned his actions as a horrific act of violence against a defenseless young woman, sentencing him to life imprisonment, with a minimum of 19 years before parole. Even then, Phoenix's family knew no prison sentence could ever bring her back. Today, Phoenix Spencer Horn is remembered not for the horror of her final moments, but for the life she lived. Her family describes her as caring, vibrant, and deeply loved. Her friends say her kindness left an imprint on everyone she met. But her story is also a devastating reminder of the dangers of hidden abuse, of the silent suffering too many endure behind closed doors, and of how quickly love can turn into control, and control into tragedy. Phoenix was only 21. She had dreams, laughter, and a future waiting for her. And yet, all of that was stolen in one night of unimaginable cruelty. May her story never be forgotten.